the differences between being black in Taiwan versus being black in China. One thing has to be pictures. When I lived in China, I lived in many different cities, but when I lived there, people loved to take pictures of me and with me. 95% of the time without my consent. In Taiwan, that's not really a thing. I think I've been here for about 11 months and I've seen one person take a picture of me, old man. And apart from that, nobody takes pictures of me, which I like. It is very uncomfortable when people take pictures of you, especially when they don't ask. Number 2 has to be touching me. In China, people loved to touch my skin to see if my color would come off, or touch my hair, especially if my hair looked like this. They would love to touch my hair, but without asking. People wouldn't ask me, can I touch your hair? They would just touch me. Disclaimer, if you're in Taiwan, or you're anywhere in the world actually that doesn't have a lot of black people, and you see a black person and you like their hair and you think it looks really nice, do not touch their hair, okay? Ask them. Most likely they probably will say no, but you know, at least ask. Don't just be like and touch their hair, because that makes people feel really uncomfortable. In Taiwan, generally people ask me, can I touch your hair? Which is okay, but I still don't really like it, but at least they ask. As a black person, I think living in Taiwan is somewhat better. For example, when I go outside, people will look at me, but not as much. I live in a city in Taiwan where there isn't that many foreigners, and especially not that many black people, and people generally don't stare at me. They generally don't. They generally just leave me alone. Because in China, people used to look at me all the time. But I think it also depends on who you're with, and I find that when I'm in Taiwan and I'm with a Taiwanese person, people will stare at me more. I haven't really had that many negative experiences in Taiwan. I think one main phenomenon is obviously Asia. This continent is, in general, all countries in Asia are pretty much homogenous. Generally speaking, in Taiwan, it's been pretty positive. There has been some instances where it's hard for people to believe that I am from England. I think when people think about England, they think that England is full of white people, which is true. Obviously, the vast majority of people in England are white, but especially if you're from London, it's a very diverse city with people from all around the world. I think a lot of people have the misconception that all black people are from Africa, but we are everywhere. There are pros and cons of living in either Taiwan or China. I think if you live in any really homogenous society, obviously it will be hard to fit in. I have encountered, you know, some people who do not think fondly of black people, but I think a lot of that comes from preconceived notions of what you think a particular group of people will be like. Every single person in this world is different, regardless if we're all black or we're all Taiwanese or whatever. Every single person is an individual entity. Me personally, if I was to compare Taiwan and China and which place do I like, you know, both have their merits. And for me personally, I think I prefer living in Taiwan just because I get to live a life that's a bit more like a human, in the sense of, obviously there's people who are curious about me and curious about the fact that I'm black and the fact that I'm foreign, the fact that I can, you know, people are very curious. But I think generally speaking, while living here, people leave me to live my life and don't really get too involved in my life. And I can kind of just live how I want to live with more freedom per se. I don't really feel like a zoo animal, which is kind of what I felt like in China.